What's going on, NBA family, and welcome back to another episode. My name is John, your host. Happy to be here. Today is January 15th, man. Shout out Martin Luther King for all his hard work and for the day off that we got here today. And here with us today to discuss all this NBA madness as we approach the NBA trade deadline is a man with many titles. He's a coach, he's a scout, he's a host of multiple NBA shows, he's a writer at The Athletic, and a good friend and mentor to me, Dave DuFour. Dave, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited to be able to sit and do your podcast, dude. It's been fun watching you do it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you making some time to come on here, man. And for the family out there, if you guys want to check out all of Dave's work, everything will be linked in the description down below. Make sure you guys go get at him and just stay up to date with everything that he's got going on. Always like, comment, subscribe. But let's go ahead and get straight into it. We like to start off with some news. And one of the biggest news I feel like we should start off the show with is that Kawhi Leonard contract extension. He's now locked down until 2027, signed a 3-year, 152 million dollar contract. But my question to you is, how many championships are the Clippers going to be able to get out of this until Kawhi's time is done?
I mean, that's impossible to tell. Although they look like they've got a shot this year. I think that this is as good as this Clippers team has looked since Kawhi's gotten there. Mostly just because Kawhi and Paul George are healthy for the first time. It seems. I know it's early; it's only midseason, and James Harden has been a funny sort of addition to the team that has made things make a little bit more sense for them. Their offense, when it's in the half court and things are falling apart, they have somebody that can get people a little bit more organized and thinks about playmaking for others in a way that I don't know if Kawhi as your best player, like he's really trying to score. He's a good passer, but he's not a passer of the level of James Harden. So, I mean, I don't know about winning a title because it's hard. Only one team does it, but they've got a better shot now than they did a couple days ago. And I think keeping a player like Kawhi Leonard around is important because now you get to keep Paul George. And you would think they probably are going to work out some sort of a deal with James Harden to keep him around. Maybe there's already a wink, wink. I mean, the nice thing for the Clippers is just money. They don't it doesn't matter. They get it over the second tax apron. That's all fake. It doesn't mean anything. So they're going to be able to spend to keep this team competitive. So yeah, I think they've got a pretty good shot. I mean, this year they are one of the 4 or 5 teams that I think could win it all.
Okay, see, and that was gonna be my follow up question because I've been talking to a lot of my friends about our Clippers real title contenders, and I feel like a lot of them aren't really there, and I'm there. I'm there. I think that this year they are legit title contenders. You talked about the consistency and the health of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Kawhi Leonard's played in 34 of 37 games. Paul George has only missed one game, 36 of 37, and this team just understands the pecking order. Like how you said, they know that it runs through Kawhi Leonard, but it isn't solely put on Kawhi Leonard's shoulders. Like if it's not Kawhi that night, it could be PG. If it's not PG, it could be James Harden. And I mean, we're talking about James Harden as their third option, the man who just went off for 45 points last year in game 1 of the playoffs against the Celtics, put up 21 points and 10 assists last year. So I mean, honestly, I think they're sitting in a really good position. Took them some time to figure it out, but they're rolling on all cylinders. That Zubac and James Harden screen is looking like Clint Capella and James Harden back in Houston Rockets days.
The ability to just generate points out of pick and roll, right? Like that's NBA basketball. And then you've got Kawhi Leonard, who's one of the best ISO players in the league, who's looking like, he's a top 7 player again. Not just on the offensive end, it's the defensive end. So I'm a big fan of what they've been doing since they added James Harden. I think moving Russ to the bench kind of has made Russ even an interesting player for them. Norm Powell's been good. They just have a lot of depth, and they have a lot of guys that can get a bucket. And we just see over and over and over again that in the playoffs, that's the most important thing. Can this guy go get you a bucket when you need it?
Absolutely. And they got a good I'd say like 7 to 8 man rotation of players who can get it done. And I think that as we know, when playoffs come around, rotations shrink and you really need some contributions from those guys that do play. And right now, like how you said, they got it in their starters. They got off the bench with Russell Westbrook and then Norman Powell, who's on the low putting up a 6 man of the year performance this year. But yeah, no, I'm right there with you, brother. That will be it'd be a real exciting team come playoffs. Just biggest question is, can they stay healthy? So far, they've been able to do it. So let's see what happens here. But all right, my brother. Let's get to the next segment that we have here. It's our draft, man. I want to do a fun draft here with you. We do have the February trade deadline coming up. It's approaching quickly. So with that in light, wanted to do this fun little draft here. We'll draft a team of 5 players of players that need to be traded, and it could be for whatever reason, whether it's the team needs to trade them because they need to go rebuild, or it's the player is needs to be in a better position to go win. So since you are the guest, I do want to give you the first round and the first pick in the draft. So go ahead, my brother. Who you got?
I'm going to say Pascal Siakam. I'm ready to see Pascal Siakam go be the third piece on a title contender. I love the idea of him going to the Warriors, although I don't think he really does enough for them. I don't. They've got too many problems for one guy, but he would be great in Indiana as a starting point to building to a real contender next season. That can, you add a guy like Pascal that can not only get a bucket but can also defend, play some 3 and 4. He fits really really well there, I think. But I would like to see Pascal go just about anywhere that's competitive. I mean, it just Memphis, who not competitive this year, but they will be next year. Um, the Lakers, if they could get him, great. I like to see these guys, and let's not forget this is an All NBA caliber player. I'd like to see him somewhere that is at least committed to winning now, not a team that still doesn't know what it is. This trade that they just had, the OG Anunoby trade, kind of cleared some things up. I like getting Emmanuel quickly, but Pascal Siakam is not like he's kind of aged out of that core group for that team. He's a little bit too old. Scotty Barnes is clearly the future there. And I think the sooner they get Pascal moved, the better for everybody, especially Pascal.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. And when you talk about that Knicks and Raptors trade, like I was confused that Pascal wasn't the first one to go, and I don't know why they. I know that OG was on that expiring deal, but we know that Pascal isn't part of the timeline. He isn't part of this rebuild. You could have got the most draft value and just assets in general for Pascal. So I was a little bit confused as to why he wasn't the one to go, but I'm right there with you. And if I had to pick a team for Pascal Siakam, like, yeah, any team, he's going to be able to fit like a glove on almost any team. But really, to me, I think the 76ers, man. And here's why. I think you can replace a player like Tobias Harris, who's been having a good season so far, with a player like Pascal, who we know what he can do. He's an all-star caliber type player this season, putting up 22 points per game on 30% from the three-point line and a career high 52% from the field. And also Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is the coach of the 76ers. He knows Pascal Siakam. He's coached Pascal in the past. And I think that could be something that could really work out.
Maybe a personality conflict there. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe. I don't know. There was a lot of talk about people being selfish, let's just say, coming out of last year's Toronto Raptors team.
Oh man, so maybe personality wise that might not work out, but
I don't know.
but if we're talking just hoop wise and basketball wise, I think that'll be one of the greatest fit. And because I mean the 76ers, you talk about going all in, contending. He is someone who puts you in that going all in contending bracket for that team. And also like at some point you gotta give Joel Embiid back what he's gave to the organization. He had an MVP season last season, and now he's putting up a better season this season. And you got to at some point reward him and say, thank you for your hard work, Joel Embiid. Here's us going all in. So I do like that first pick with the Pascal Siakam. I'm gonna go in a different direction. I'm gonna actually go with also a forward, but I'm gonna go with Jonathan Kuminga, man. Right now, averaging 12 points per game, 4 rebounds on 50% from the field. And the reason why I think he needs to be traded is because I don't think he'll ever reach his full potential under Steve Kerr. And this is no knock on Steve Kerr. This is not saying he's a bad coach in general, but I do think he's not the greatest coach when it comes to developing young talent, right? And I think of the James Wiseman situation, and some some people, I live in the Bay Area, so some people sometimes are very hard on James Wiseman. They're like, oh, he's a bust, he's a bust. But if you really look at it, he never really got the chance. Like, and especially on the Warriors, like he never played one 82 game season while it was on the Warriors. Kept getting injured after injury after injury. He also didn't match the timeline. When they drafted him, is because they had that gap year, so they got a good pick. But the following year, they were right there in championship contention and ready to go for a ring. And a rookie wasn't really going to be the ideal piece for them at the time. But I also don't think that Steve Kerr gave him that long of a leash. The second he'd make a mistake, he's getting pulled. And then with Jonathan Kuminga, I feel like same thing very similarly. When I think of that Denver game when they blew the 18-point lead, Jonathan Kuminga didn't play the last 18 minutes of the game. For what reason? I don't know. And then also
I think it looks like he's getting trolled when he complains or anything else, right? I mean, I'm with you to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Steve Kerr thing, though, and it should be a knock on Steve Kerr. This is a talented young player who produces when he's on the court. By the way, one of the things they lack in is just like athleticism and pop. And that guy goes out there and he goes hard. I mean, he plays defense. He's attacking the glass. I mean, he's been to me, it's funny to say this because I don't think he's having a great season, but he's been a bright spot for them. He's shown a lot of growth. I think that the lack of trust is an issue. Lack of creativity a little bit. I think they're a little bit too rigid over there with some of the stuff that they do. But I like that. Yeah, I think Kuminga for sure. And he's a guy you might see move. I mean, yeah, everybody's available, allegedly. For me, I guess, is it my pick?
Yeah, second go ahead. Pick? Yeah, give me your second pick.
For me, Alex Caruso. I'd like to see Alex Caruso back on a contender. This guy is like the ultimate glue player, the ultimate connector. I mean, he'd be great in LA. I mean, obviously the Lakers could use him. He'd be great in either LA. He could play for the Clippers. Imagine him as the fifth starter over there or the first guy off the bench. He'd be good in Golden State. They could use his defense. I mean, he's just a person that can contribute to any team at any station of their path to contention. But I think if one of these real title contenders can get their hands on him, if somehow the Nuggets could wind up with Alex Caruso and he could be Bruce Brown again. I mean, obviously he doesn't have the offensive chops, but at least not with the ball in his hands. But I want to see Alex Caruso get moved.
Okay.
Time to blow it up in Chicago. Blow it up.
It's been time to blow it up in Chicago.
Blow it around Kobe.
That's what I'm saying. I love that. And for me, like, I think it's been time for them to blow it up in Chicago, but now if it hasn't been apparent and clear to them, I hope it is now. Building around Kobe, like how you said, he's balling out ever since Zach LaVine stepped out of the lineup. And then if we're gonna go in guards direction, let's just over there stay in Chicago, and then let me get my 2 guard for my 5, and that's gonna be Zach LaVine. I think he's a player who needs to be traded. Not much that hasn't already been said in social media, but really, like how you said, Kobe White, I think he's took a big jump ever since Zach LaVine's not been out there because of how ball.
We should probably just say the Bulls.
The Bulls,
like trade everybody. Vooch. I mean, a good player, like send him somewhere, let him go play somewhere on a team that's ready to compete. DeMar DeRozan, if he could be somewhere, I mean, DeMar DeRozan in Orlando would even be interesting to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could maybe just say the Bulls.
Just say the Bulls.
Time to blow it up.
It's time for the Bulls to blow it up. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So that will be my second pick. So I got Zach LaVine. That's my second pick. So who's your third pick?
Jaden Ivey. I just want to see him get to a place where he's going to have a chance to develop. This is clearly Detroit is awful. It's a bad organization. They won 3 games this season, but it just systemically, it looks like the well has been poisoned. And the fact that you have the coach coming out and saying on the record he didn't know to try his guy, Jaden Ivey, at the 1, which is what he is in the NBA. I mean, come on. So I'd like to see him get a fresh start somewhere, preferably a place where, like he can just go play for a younger coach who's maybe a little bit more interested in developing this guy. Because I think he's going to be a good NBA player one day.
I like that. I like that a lot. Even if he just goes somewhere where he's just getting more of a chance, because like how you said, he just wasn't even getting shots out there, getting enough minutes, especially for such a bad Pistons team. Like, you got nothing to lose. Like, might as well play your young rookie you just drafted. So I'm right there with you, my brother. And so I can, have a point guard to play make and set my team up. Because right now I got Zach Levine, who's more of a scorer, and I got Kaminga, who's more of a forward. I need to give me a point guard. So I'm gonna go over there to the Blazers, and I'm gonna get Malcolm Brogdon, man. I think he needs to be traded. Right now, averaging 14 points per game on 41% from the 3-point line and 43% from the field. And to me, I just don't even understand why they're hoarding a player like Malcolm Brogdon. He can be the difference between a team contending and not contending because they got their young talent. They got their guards into Anthony Simons and Scoot. They got Shaden Sharp. They even got Tamani Kamara, Chris Murray, Aiden. They got this young core. So to me, it doesn't make any sense that you'd be keeping a vet like Malcolm Brogdon, and he's taking away shots from these rookies at this point.
But
Talk
you
to me.
need an adult, right? You can't just have a bunch of young guys. And the truth is, like, it may have to be Brogdon because my next pick is Jeremy Grant. I think he's got to get out of there. Jeremy Grant is like if the Warriors could somehow get him for Wiggins, all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're back in business. I just think Jeremy Grant, such a good player, and is not wasted there, but he is too good of a player to be in a development situation. I feel the same way about DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton a little bit younger though, and I think DeAndre Ayton could benefit from a couple of years of sort of being the top dog, and rebuild his confidence a little bit. But yeah, Jeremy Grant, I would like to see him, move somewhere where he could be a major piece. He could be a third guy on a potential title team. Like if the Miami Heat could get Jeremy Grant, that would be something. Now, I don't think that they can pull that off, because they've got, again, personality conflicts there with that front office. But yeah, I'd like to see Jeremy Grant on the move.
Now that you mentioned, Jeremy Grant and just the Warriors, I guess like a quick sidebar question: would you rather, if you're the Warriors, have Jeremy Grant or Pascal Siakam?
That's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know. Between the two, I think you probably take Pascal. He's a higher level player. But Jeremy Grant's really, really good and has a contract already. So, like, if you're the Warriors, you bring in Pascal, you have to worry you might lose him. You do have to worry it's a rental. I don't think that that's the reality because I know that all these teams just talk and the players talk behind the scenes. So any team trading for Pascal Siakam is likely already agreeing to whatever the extension is that he's going to be asking for, because otherwise you won't give up assets. But we'll know by the value of the trade. If a team trades for Pascal and you see multiple first round picks, know that they have a behind the deal, little wink, wink deal happening behind the scenes. So I think if you weigh those two and you're the Warriors and you don't feel like you can keep them, well, then you probably lean Jeremy Grant. But then there's the other way. What if you're the Warriors and you're saying, hey, we kind of don't want that 5-year contract that Jeremy Grant just signed. We've got some longer contracts we don't like. Maybe we want a shorter contract and do a rental and start thinking about what things are looking like in the future in Golden State. Because frankly, I think things are accelerating to the end. I mean, it's over. They're not winning another title as currently constructed. And I think that this team has about 3 weeks to look itself in the mirror and come to some conclusions about the season. One of which should be that this season has been an abject failure and a waste. And this is Steph Curry's age 36 season. How long can he be a top 7 player in the NBA? I don't know. He's already slipping. I mean, if you watch him this year, the tough shots are tougher. His defense has slipped, and maybe part of that is focus just due to the losing situation. But he is 36 years old. This is a younger guy's sport. So I think that next 3 weeks could be really interesting in Golden State. But Jeremy Grant, for me, I'd love to see him wind up on a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to, get the temperature on that because Jeremy Grant and Pascal are honestly similar players, but like how you mentioned, it's just that a contract attached to Jeremy Grant is just egregious. So it's hard to take on. But let
It's
me
not a
get
bad deal. It's not a bad deal in a vacuum, but it would be if you were a team that is facing a potential pivot. If you're stuck with if you're loaded with that contract. I mean, he's still a good, productive player, but it is something
yeah.
to think about.
Absolutely. Got to get you got to see where your situation is as a team and then decide there accordingly. But all right, my brother, let me get to my fourth pick. So far I got Malcolm Brogdon, I got Zach Levine, and then I took Kaminga with my first pick. I was gonna put him at the three, but I'm gonna actually put him at the four. I'm gonna go to smaller team, put him at the four, and I'm at my three. I'm gonna go with Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward, of the one of the only veterans and grown-ups and adults, like you were talking about. Gotta have an adult on one team.
He
But
feels like a Miami Heat guy, right? Like he feels like he's gonna go play with like Jimmy Butler and those guys. You know, like I'm with you, man. He's just like, all right, man. I'm grown. There's no, there's no issues here. I can go play with these guys and show up. I mean, he would have been a good warrior, if they
absolutely.
could have gotten him. Just another useful guy who can handle, got some size, can play a few positions. You can trust him to play, at least try on defense. So yeah, man, that's a good one. I keep forgetting Gordon Hayward's still in the league.
Now you got to watch some
That's what
Charlotte
happens when you
Hornets.
play in Charlotte, man. You just
That there you go.
you get forgotten fast. What's amazing is we talk more about the Pistons than the Hornets because at least the Pistons are awful.
Yeah.
The Hornets, they're just bad and we don't care, right? The Pistons are so awful that it's a story. The Hornets can't even be bad, right? Okay, my last pick, and this one might shock people. I want him to fully embrace it. And now he's not going to, but he did just get the contract. He's not going to embrace this because there's more money in being a 20-point guy on a 25-win team than a 12-point guy on a 50-win team. You're just going to make more money scoring 20 points a night. But if he can embrace his inner Robert Horry, Kyle Kuzma would make a lot of teams that are close actual championship contenders. He would change the fortune for a few teams. Number one, he can shoot it. He can really shoot it, and he's not scared in high pressure moments. Got a quick shot. This is a guy who end of shot clock, late game situations. You want him on the court. He's fantastic. He's also a really good defender, and he defends even better when you have good defensive players around him. I've seen this guy, what he looks like in a winning situation. I think he's just a better player than anybody wants to give him credit for because he's a little goofy. But Kyle Kuzma is my last pick for guy that I would like to see moved because, frankly, like Detroit, Charlotte, Washington, it's all sad, and they've got some good players that would just be. It'd be nice to see them playing in real basketball games versus these exhibitions Detroit and Washington are playing again somehow today while we're recording for like the 16th time this season. It's a fake season for all these teams. So free Kyle Kuzma.
Free Kyle Kuzma. Let's get some of these guys playing some meaningful minutes. I love that Kyle Kuzma nod. I'm sure you can guess. I am a Lakers fan. That's why I got all this Lakers gear. So I have seen Kyle Kuzma playing at a top notch level, and like how you said, he can be that difference maker if he can do all the little things that matter. Knock down the open shot when he gets it, and just just be that big man, be that defender. But let me get to my fifth, and this my last pick of players I need to be traded. I already had another one Bulls player on my team. So you got one Bulls player. So let me get another Bulls player. I got to go at the 5, Nikola Vucevic, man. This is the beginning of the end for him, okay? If you go look at his numbers, okay, he is averaging a career low almost across the board, a career low in points since his second year, a career low in rebounds, a career low in field goal percentage and three-point percentage, and a career high in fouls. Like, we've already known this isn't going to work out. Let's blow it up. Get some type of value for this man before you can't get anything for this. Because a couple of years ago, it was supposed to be him, DeMar, and Zach. That was supposed to be your big three that was supposed to take you to the paradise.
I mean, who expected that? I mean, I like Vooch as a player. I do think, it's a lot of money for a guy that, as you mentioned, he's kind of this is the beginning of the end. It's the tail end of his career. I mean, I kind of saw it this summer. I saw it in the lead up to the World Cup, coached against that Montenegro team. He's not the same Vooch. He's not as effective. He had a decent run in the World Cup, I thought, but just not the same guy. He's just, this is what happens. Big men don't age well normally. And he was never like a plus defender, but now he's not there. And when the Bulls, I mean, listen, granted, the Bulls have had a nice run with Kobe White kind of running things, while Zach LaVine was out. But this isn't a team that has any sort of hope for an actual competitive season or really any sort of a playoff run. So I'm in favor of that. Yeah, you got to move off of him now, get the asset. And also, he's a veteran. I like to see him go play for a winner. I mean, I know that this is like a recurring theme for me, but Vooch is a fun player. I like to see him go get a nice role somewhere where it's like 18 to 20 minutes a game, maybe. I mean, like the Warriors could use Vooch.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The Warriors just need a basketball team. Man.
The
Like, they just
Warriors
need
just
everything.
need some more basketball players out
Can
there.
we get some players? Yeah.
Man, I think that's greatly put, Dave. Well, all right, man. Well, I hope the family enjoyed that, a quick little draft segment that we had. Just wanted to talk about some of these players that need to be traded most before trade deadline hits. Dave, I do appreciate you making some time, my brother. Do want to give you the floor if you have anything you want to shout out before we get out of here.
No, shout out to you. Hey, man, shout out to you. I mean, look, man, starting a podcast from nothing is hard and it's intimidating. And I'm pumped for you, man. I love this pod. It's been great. So, yeah, that's it. I'm putting you over on my way out. Don't worry about listen, man, plenty of people know where my stuff is. Please check it out. I always appreciate new listeners and old ones too. But yeah, man, shout out to Clutch Talk.
Man, appreciate you, Dave. Appreciate you. As always, appreciate you for your friendship, mentorship, all of that. And like I said in the beginning, everybody, if you guys want to check out everything that Dave's got going on, everything will be linked in the description down below. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And for now, we out of here, y'all. Peace.